I know some of y'all was wondering, Torian, when I was going to address this story right here. To be honest, I didn't think I was if I wasn't, but I kept seeing it pop up all over the place. And I said, why not? I got time today. So in this picture, you see three people. Well, I actually see two human beings and one Neanderthal. And the two human beings I see is Sha'Carri Richardson on the left. On the right is the legendary icon herself, Flo-Jo. And RIP to that woman who had to end up getting dug up from the grave, I'm sorry, thanks to this extraterrestrial being you see in the center whose name is Claire Lehmann. So basically, this Claire Lehmann chick, she runs some kind of a publication called Quillette, and she's out of Australia, and she literally did what should have been career suicide on Twitter the other day. She basically okay, let me just start off with saying this. So we all know what happened with Sha'Carri Richardson. I don't feel like we have to rehash that. But this Claire Lehmann chick, who I never even heard of before, who just by her statements is a staunch dub S from across the pond, made this wild, outlandish statement about not only Sha'Carri Richardson, but also Flo-Jo. So Claire Lehmann basically said in so many words, I'm going to read the article and it's probably going to have the entire text of what she said. Basically said that Sha'Carri Richardson's hair, or the weave that she's wearing, and especially her nails more so than anything, her acrylic nails, is the cause of her steroid use. And many people on Twitter, when they saw that, they literally dragged her from whatever cloud she thought she was sitting on down to the darkest, hardest, hottest pits of hell they could find, and they are trying to make sure that she stays there. Where did she get this idea that, one, Sha'Carri Richardson was on steroids when she clearly wasn't, and two, that acrylic nails is what causes steroid use? If that was the case, most women in the world would get steroids or have steroids found in their system. But see, she tried to associate acrylic nails with steroid use. And the thing is, people was like, where did that come from? That made no sense. That's why I can't take these dub S'ers seriously. I cannot at all. And to make matters worse, Flo-Jo was trending on Twitter at the same time as this was going on. So I'm thinking like to myself, why is Flo-Jo trending? What's going on? And again, it goes back to this Claire Lehmann chick when she made about the acrylic nail, because she brought up Flo-Jo making up lies saying that Flo-Jo died from a drug overdose when clearly that was not what she died from. Like Flo-Jo, she died from some kind of a rare disorder or rare disease. I forgot what it was. Someone can correct me down in the comments. It had nothing to do with drug use. And speaking of drug testing, I remember when reading stories when they would constantly drug test Flo-Jo all the time because they could not believe that this woman was as fast as she was. And then you have this Claire Lehmann chick. This is why I can't really bring myself to completely go all the way in on Sha'Carri Richardson, because you have people like her that is doing and saying outlandish things that make no sense. Sure, you can be upset and disappointed that Sha'Carri Richardson did what she did, but leave it at that. Talking about her nails causing her steroid use and her hair and all types of stuff, what does that have to do with the situation? Nothing. You bringing up and digging up a dead woman who has been dead for over 20 years and making up lies, what does that do? What does that do? And she's saying all of this from, as far as I'm concerned, all the way from Australia. She's not here in the States saying that. She's all the way on the other side of the world saying this shit. But people went in on her, and rightfully so. Hopefully they got her up off of Twitter, but I doubt it. But I'm going to go ahead and read this article. It says, over the weekend, news broke that American track star Sha'Carri Richardson had been suspended from the Tokyo Olympics after testing positive for marijuana. After blitzing through the 100-meter sprint trial in first place with a time of 10.86, it was announced that 21-year-old Richardson failed her drug test. As a result, the sprinter was slapped with a 30-day suspension that ruled her out of competing in the 100-meter race in Tokyo, but still allowed the possibility to participate in the full 100 relays. I know what I did. I know what I'm supposed to do, what I'm allowed to do, and I still made that decision, Richardson told Today. The news of my mother's death just sent me into a state of emotional panic. I didn't know how to control my emotions or deal with my emotions during that time. In response to the news, there was an international outpouring support for Richardson, with people calling for the decision to be overturned as weed is not a performance-enhancing drug. But while the world stood behind Sha'Carri Richardson, who originally went viral for her glamorous looks and unbelievably fast speeds, one Australian journalist took the opposite stance by trying to claim that the sprinter's strong nails and hair were a side effect of steroid use. If she doesn't get all the way the fuck out of here with that bullshit. And I swear, she's the only person I've seen who's actually said that. I don't think anyone else, I don't even think the most staunch Dub S even said something as ridiculous as this. If this wasn't such an ignorant statement, I would probably laugh at its sheer stupidity. Not sure whether the nails are real or fake, but in case you didn't know, very strong nails and hair can be a side effect of steroid use. And how would she know that? Last time I checked, steroids had to be something that was injected. I didn't know that getting acrylic nails in a weave could cause steroid use unless there's a new study out there that suggests otherwise. And I'm not talking about from her. Look, people in track know who is and who isn't on the roids. Just because they couldn't ping her on it doesn't mean they don't know. So basically, they're trying to tell us that the drug test that she took missed pointing out that she was on steroids when only it detected that she had marijuana in her system. What? Meanwhile, she's not talking about that Shelby Houlihan, I think that's her name, who was a white track runner for the U.S. team who actually did have steroids in her system because of a quote-unquote burrito that she ate. Notice that the mainstream media is not talking about this. Me saying this is probably the first time you heard about it. The fact that Sha'Carri Richardson has accepted the 1-month ban for marijuana and is not fighting to go to the Olympics means that is likely more to the story, in my opinion. In your opinion, which your opinion doesn't mean a damn thing. Of course, everyone knows that Sha'Carri Richardson's acrylic nails and bright orange hair extensions are totally natural, and that accepting a penalty that can't be overturned is an admission of guilt for drugs you did not take. And this person is saying this sarcastically in response to what she said. Claire Lehmann is no stranger to controversy as a contributor to the Australian and the founder of Quillette, a magazine that The Nation claims normalizes the alt-right. But Lehmann didn't just spit out false claims about Sha'Carri Richardson. She also doubled down on her horrific take by trying to drag Florence Griffin Joyner, otherwise known as Flo-Jo, another black female runner who was also known for her long acrylic nails in the 80s. Flo-Jo, obvious drug user, these are her words, had the nails. She died in her sleep at age 38 because that's what a lifetime of drug use does to the body. If I was Flo-Jo's family, I would find any way possible to sue this bitch all the way from here to over there and back again. And why it's supposed to be banned from elite sports, Claire Lehmann continued. Now, Flo-Jo famously also wore acrylics, not her natural nails, and never once tested positive for steroids. When Flo-Jo died at age 38 from a severe epileptic seizure in her sleep, the only drugs that were found in her system were the over-the-counter medications Tylenol and Benadryl, not steroids or other illegal substances, as Lehmann grossly implied. As one could expect, Claire Lehmann was gloriously dragged for her ridiculous, unfounded claims around long fake nails and hair extensions somehow being signs of steroid use, despite both Richardson and Flo-Jo never testing positive for the substance. Even rapper Cardi B weighed in on this matter, letting Lehmann know that the biotin is actually what helps with healthy hair and nail growth, adding that Claire Lehmann could do with some of her thin-ass hair. Meanwhile, a literal neurosurgeon continued this dunk on Lehmann with just 15 perfect words to remind the journalist that acrylic nails are a thing she might not be aware of. I know your racism is clouding your thinking, but artificial nails are something that does exist. And I'm going to read to you what some of the other people says. Hey Claire, I don't know how to break this to you, but one side effect of steroid use is testing positive for steroids, not marijuana. Testing positive for marijuana is correlated with marijuana use, which in many locations is not illegal and in all locations is dangerous. Biotin, you need this for your thin ass hair, and that's what Cardi B said. Someone else said, not sure whether you have a lawyer or not, but in case you didn't know, a defamation character lawsuit is a side effect of not knowing when to shut the fuck up. Step aside, Karen Claire has entered the chat. Someone else said, the only thing you have ever ran was your dumb mouth. Someone else said, took so many steroids that my nails turned acrylic, and they were saying that in sarcasm. He said, someone else said, are you in society? Are you truly unaware of the beauty industry? Did you think the lashes were real? The color of her natural shade? That she was born with the tattoos? Do you get alarmed and confused if people change clothes because you didn't know if they were real or fake? Someone else said, the whitest known Karenist tweet ever. Proving that Claire is the new Karen, the strangest thing about Lehmann's baffling tweets wasn't that she had no understanding of what acrylic nails are. It's the fact that a white woman who was set to compete in the Tokyo Olympics actually did test positive for steroids 2 weeks ago, which Claire Lehmann conveniently chose to ignore in favor of bashing Sha'Carri Richardson, which goes back to what I was just talking about. So now they're about to go more into Shelby Houlihan. U.S. runner Shelby Houlihan was banned from competing in the Olympics for 4 years after her drug test returned a positive for steroids. Houlihan claimed that the positive test result from anabolic steroid nandrolone came from eating a pork burrito the night before, something that obviously a whole lot easier to poke fun at than an innocent black woman with some great acrylic nails and even better wigs. But regardless, Claire Lehmann has chosen to not apologize for her tweets or even delete them, despite getting roasted to an absolute crisp online. I guess nothing can really stop Claire from being a Karen these days. But yeah, I agree with everybody's tweet. I know it's shocking. I actually agree with what Cardi B said. I know the world is shattering right now. But yeah, like I could have been so irate at what this woman said. Like I said, if it wasn't so stupid. Like nothing she said in any of the tweets that she said made sense. And you could tell she was doing this for attention. Like, it's just crazy. Like, you can't tell me you didn't know what acrylic nails were. And if you didn't, all you had to do was just ask. But see, this is just palm coloring as usual. Just to get a reaction out of people. Like, I could have easily did this as a Torian Rage video and like call her every B word, every other sentence. But for what? Like, she, as far as I'm concerned, dug her own little grave when she made that tweet, because it did not make sense. It was stupid. It was ignorant. It was racist for sure, but it was stupid. Like, it was dumb. Like, that was the best you could come up with, really. That was the best thing. That was the only thing in her arsenal that day. I mean, I guess, listen, y'all, we should not be threatened. This is the best you could come up with. We should not be threatened by this. I'm just saying.